All right, let's jump right in. We're going to take a look inside one of the most important institutions on the entire planet, a place where the voices of over 1 billion people come together to shape a nation's destiny. We're talking, of course, about the Parliament of India. I mean, just think about this for a second. How on earth does a nation of 1.4 billion people govern itself? Seriously, how do you take all the hopes, all the dreams, and all the demands of that many people and somehow turn it all into actual policy and law? It's just a mind-boggling scale. Well, the answer, it's found inside this one powerful, incredibly complex machine. And for more than 75 years, this machine has been the engine room, the very heart of the world's largest democracy. All right, so let's pop the hood and see how this engine is actually built. We're going to start with the absolute fundamentals, the blueprint for the whole system. So India runs on what's known as a parliamentary system, and the core idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. The government, the executive branch, it isn't some separate thing. It's literally born from the parliament. And this is the key part. It has to answer to the parliament every single day. Now, if you're used to, say, the US system, this is a huge difference. In India, you have what's called a fusion of powers. The government and the parliament are all tangled up together. The US has a really strict separation, and honestly, that one single difference changes everything, especially when it comes to holding the government accountable. And it's interesting, when we talk about parliament, it's not just two houses. The Constitution itself, in Article 79, actually says it's made of 3 parts. You've got the president, who's the head of state, and then you have the 2 houses, the Lok Sabha, which is the House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha, the Council of States. Okay, so let's zoom in on those 2 houses, because on the surface, they might seem kind of similar, but trust me, they have really different jobs and they're made up in completely different ways. This table lays it all out really nicely. First up, you have the Lok Sabha. Think of it as the House of the People, because it is. Members are directly elected by, well, everyone. They serve a 5-year term, and you only have to be 25 to get in. Then you've got the Rajya Sabha, the Council of States. Totally different. Its members are elected indirectly by the state legislatures. They get a longer 6-year term, and the minimum age is 30. And this right here really paints the picture. The Lok Sabha, with its max strength of 550 members, is all about that direct voice of the people. The Rajya Sabha, smaller, with a max of 250, is all about representing the states. And then you've got this really cool feature. 12 members are handpicked, or nominated, by the president. These are people who are experts in things like art, literature, science, you name it. So who's in charge of running these 2 houses day to day? Well, they're called the presiding officers. In the Lok Sabha, it's pretty straightforward. They elect a speaker from among themselves. But the Rajya Sabha, this is where it gets really interesting. Its chairman is actually the vice president of India. So he's an ex officio head, meaning he's not even a member of that house. And because of this structure, the speaker of the Lok Sabha gets a super important unique power. Only the speaker can decide if a bill is a money bill. And that theme of accountability we talked about, it even applies to the person in charge, the speaker. You can't just get rid of them on a whim. It's a really serious process. First, you need a 14-day advance notice. Then, a resolution has to be passed by what's called an effective majority. And what that means is, it's a majority of all the members of the House at that time, not just whoever happens to be there on voting day. It's a high bar. Okay, so we've got the blueprint, the parts of the engine, but what does a day in the life of this machine actually look like? What's the daily grind inside Parliament? You can almost set your watch to it. A typical day has this very specific rhythm. At 11 a.m. sharp, boom, it's question hour. At 12 p.m., you get this amazing, uniquely Indian thing called 0 hour. And then, after a break, from 2 p.m. onwards, they get down to the main event, actually making and debating the laws. Now, that first hour of the day, question hour, is absolutely crucial. It is one of the main ways they hold the government's feet to the fire. So if a member asks what's called a starred question, and it literally has a little star next to it, they get an answer from the minister, live, right there on the floor, which means they can ask follow-up questions. Unstarred questions are different. They get a much more detailed written response. And this is a really cool distinction. Question hour is totally formal. It's written down in the rule book. But 0 hour, the one that comes right after, that is a pure Indian innovation. It's completely informal. It's not in any rule book. It's the space where members can just stand up and raise urgent issues without any advance notice. You can almost think of it like a real-time pressure valve for the country's biggest concerns. But here's a secret. A ton of the real nitty-gritty work of Parliament doesn't even happen in those big main chambers we see on TV. Which brings us to the unseen workhorses of the system, the committees. There's this quote that just says it all. Parliamentary committees are often called mini parliaments. And it's so true. Think about it. The full House is just too big to dig into the tiny details of a bill. So these smaller groups, these committees, they're the ones who do the real heavy lifting. They go through bills line by line, they audit how the government is spending money, and they investigate policies. And these committees basically come in two flavors. You've got your standing committees. These are the permanent ones. They get put together every year to keep an eye on specific government departments. And then you have ad hoc committees. Ad hoc just means for a specific purpose. They're temporary, created to investigate one particular thing, maybe a big issue or a specific bill, and once they're done, they're gone. Okay, now let's talk about the big three. These are the most powerful financial watchdog committees. First, the Public Accounts Committee, or PAC. They look at government spending after the money's been spent to see if it was done right. Then there's the Estimates Committee, which does the opposite. It looks at spending before it happens, trying to find ways to be more efficient. And finally, the Committee on Public Undertakings, which keeps an eye on government-run companies. But get this, and this is so important. By tradition, the chairperson of the most powerful one, the PAC, is always a member of the opposition. That is a massive check on the government's control of our money. So, we've talked about the two houses, the daily schedule, those super important committees. What does it all add up to? Well, every single one of these pieces is designed to serve one ultimate goal: holding power to account. This right here, this is the bedrock principle of the entire system. It's right there in Article 75 of the Constitution, and it's called collective responsibility. What it means is that the entire government, the whole team, is responsible together to the Lok Sabha. Basically, they win as a team or they lose as a team, they swim or sink together. And every single thing we've just discussed, question hour, 0 hour, committee reports, they're all just tools designed to enforce that one powerful idea. So this incredible, complex engine, for over 75 years, it has managed to power the world's biggest democracy. It's taken the will of 1 billion people and turned it into the law of the land. It's an amazing achievement. But as we look to the future, you have to ask the big question. Is the design that got us here fit for the challenges of the next 75 years?